I was 17 when my mother's cancer finally took her. The funeral was on a Tuesday. By Friday, my father had already started talking about moving forward and not dwelling on the past. 6 months later, he introduced me to Carol. Carol was everything my mother wasn't. Where my mother had been quiet and thoughtful, Carol was loud and commanding. Where my mother had saved every penny for my college fund, Carol talked about money like it grew on trees. But what bothered me most wasn't her personality. It was the way she looked at me during that first dinner, like she was calculating something. I was a senior in high school when they got married. A small ceremony. Nothing like the wedding photos I'd seen of my parents. Carol moved into our house immediately, and within a week, she'd redecorated my mother's reading room. The books went into storage. The armchair my mother died in went to Goodwill. When I protested, my father said, "Your mother would want us to be happy. Carol is trying to make this a home for all of us." I left for college that fall with a sick feeling in my stomach that I couldn't quite name. My mother had been a financial planner. She'd taught me about money from the time I could count. Every birthday, every Christmas, she'd put money into accounts she'd opened in my name. "This is yours," she'd tell me. "No one can touch this, but you." When she got sick, she made sure everything was legally airtight. At 18, I had access to 3 accounts. A college fund with $85,000, a savings account with $23,000, and an investment account she'd been growing since I was born. The investment account alone was worth $167,000. I didn't tell anyone the exact amounts, not my friends, not my roommate, and certainly not my father and Carol. I'd learned early that talking about money made people strange, but somehow, Carol knew. The first sign came during Thanksgiving break my freshman year. I came home to find Carol in the kitchen, and she immediately started asking questions. How was school? What was my major? Was I being careful with my spending? "Your father and I have been talking," she said, arranging stuffing on a platter. "We think it might be wise for you to move some of your accounts into a family trust. For protection." I froze. "I don't know what you mean." "The money your mother left you. It's wonderful that you have it. But at your age, you're vulnerable. Identity theft, bad investments, predatory boyfriends. We just want to help you protect it." I set down the cranberry sauce I'd been holding. "My accounts are fine. They're in my name, and I know how to manage them. My mother taught me." Carol's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Of course she did. But your mother isn't here anymore, and your father and I are. We have more life experience. We could help you grow that money instead of just letting it sit there." "It's not just sitting there," I said carefully, "and I'm comfortable managing it myself." The temperature in the room dropped by several degrees. Carol turned back to the stove. "If you change your mind, the offer stands." I called my mother's financial advisor the next day. His name was Robert, and he'd worked with my mother for 15 years. "Is there any way someone can access my accounts?" I asked. "Not unless you give them permission," he said. "Your mother set these up specifically to prevent that. Everything requires your signature and your ID." "Why? Is someone pressuring you?" "Just making sure," I said. But I wasn't just making sure. I was scared. The questions continued every time I came home. Carol would ask about my financial strategy over dinner. She'd mention investment opportunities that required substantial capital. She'd wonder aloud why I was hoarding money instead of contributing to the family. That last one confused me. "Contributing how?" I asked during winter break. "Well, your father and I are paying for this house, for utilities, for food when you're here. Don't you think it would be fair to help out a little? Your mother left you quite comfortable." My father looked uncomfortable but said nothing. "I'm paying for my own college," I said quietly. "Room, board, tuition, books. I'm not asking you for anything." "That's not the point," Carol snapped. "Family takes care of family. Or did your mother not teach you that?" I left the table. In my room, I opened my laptop and changed all my account passwords. Then I set up 2-factor authentication on everything. Then I called Robert again. "I need you to flag my accounts," I told him. "If anyone calls asking about me, if anyone tries to add themselves as an authorized user, if anything happens that requires my signature, I want you to verify it's really me in person with my ID." "Consider it done," Robert said. "Has someone tried to access your accounts?" "Not yet, but I think they're going to." I was right. The first attempt came in February. I got an email from my bank saying someone had requested to add an authorized user to my college fund account. The request was denied because it didn't have my signature, but it had been made from my father's computer. I called him immediately. Dad, did you try to add someone to my college fund? He sighed. Carol thought it would be easier if she could help you manage your accounts. You're so busy with school, and she has experience with finances. What kind of experience? She used to work in real estate. That's not the same as financial planning, Dad. And I don't need help. I need you to tell Carol to stop trying to access my money. Don't talk about your stepmother that way, he said, his voice hardening. She's trying to help. By accessing accounts she has no right to? That's not help, Dad. I stopped myself before I said the word that was forming. That's inappropriate. You're being paranoid, he said. Carol loves you like her own daughter. I hung up and immediately drove to my bank. The branch manager, a woman named Patricia, listened to my story with growing concern. I want to put additional security measures on all my accounts, I told her. No one can be added as an authorized user without me appearing in person with 2 forms of ID. Any requests by phone or email should be denied and reported to me immediately. I can do that, Patricia said. But can I ask, is someone trying to commit fraud? I don't know what they're trying to do, I said honestly. But these accounts are mine, and I want to keep it that way. Patricia made the changes right there. She also gave me her direct number. If anything else happens, call me immediately. What you're describing sounds like financial elder abuse. Except you're not elderly. What would you call it then? Financial exploitation of a family member, she said grimly. And it's more common than you'd think. The second attempt came in March. This time, Carol tried a different approach. I came home for spring break to find her in the living room with papers spread across the coffee table. My father sat beside her, looking defeated. We need to talk, Carol said as soon as I walked in. I set down my bag slowly. About what? Your father and I are having financial difficulties. The roof needs replacing. His car died, and we have some credit card debt we're trying to pay down. We've discussed it, and we think the best solution is for you to contribute. I looked at my father. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Contribute how much? I asked. $25,000 would get us back on track, Carol said smoothly. It's nothing to you, really. You have so much, and we have so little. Family helps family. I sat down very slowly. My heart was racing, but I kept my voice level. Carol blinked. Excuse me? I'm not giving you $25,000. Not giving. Lending. We'd pay you back. When? When we can. So, giving, then. And the answer is still no. Carol's face hardened. You selfish little brat. After everything we've done for you, after we've housed you and fed you and treated you like family, you've done the bare minimum that parents are supposed to do, I interrupted. And I'm not a child anymore. I'm 19 years old. I pay for my own education, and my money is mine. My mother left it to me, not to you. Your mother is dead, Carol hissed. The room went silent. My father finally spoke. Carol, that's enough. No, it's not enough, Carol said, standing up. She was shaking with rage. I have bent over backwards to make this girl feel welcome. I've tried to be a mother to her. And this is how she repays me? By hoarding money while we struggle? You're not struggling, I said quietly. You went to Cabo last month. You bought a new car in January. Dad bought you a Rolex for Valentine's Day. You're not struggling. You're just bad with money. Carol slapped me. The sound echoed in the living room. My father jumped to his feet, but I was faster. I grabbed my bag and walked toward the door. If you ever touch me again, I said without turning around, I will call the police. And if you ever try to access my accounts again, I will press charges for attempted fraud. Do you understand? I didn't wait for an answer. I drove back to school that night and didn't return home for the rest of the semester. But Carol wasn't done. In April, I got a call from Robert. Someone called claiming to be you, he said. They had your social security number and your mother's maiden name. They were trying to move money out of your investment account. My blood ran cold. They didn't give a name, but the number they called from traces back to your father's house. I denied the request and told them any transactions would require you to appear in person. They hung up immediately. I sat down on my dorm room floor. My roommate was at class, and I was alone. I wanted to cry, but I was too angry. What do? I asked Robert. You have a few options. You could file a police report for attempted fraud. You could get a restraining order. Or you could have a lawyer send a cease and desist letter. That's usually enough to scare people off. Will any of those options protect my accounts completely? The best protection is freezing your credit and putting fraud alerts on everything. I can help you with that. But the attempts aren't going to stop unless you make it clear there will be legal consequences. I hired a lawyer the next day. Her name was Michelle, and she specialized in family law and financial exploitation. I paid her $1,500 for a consultation and a cease and desist letter. This is textbook financial abuse, Michelle told me after I explained the situation. Your stepmother is systematically trying to access your inheritance, and your father is either complicit or too weak to stop her. The fact that they have your social security number and your mother's information is particularly concerning. What happens if the letter doesn't work? Then we pursue a restraining order and potentially press charges. Attempted identity theft and fraud are criminal offenses, but most people back off once they realize there will be legal consequences. Michelle sent the letter on a Friday. By Monday, my phone was exploding. My father called 17 times. Carol called 9 times. I didn't answer any of them. Finally, a voicemail came through from my father. How dare you threaten us with legal action? Carol is beside herself. She was only trying to help. You've always been ungrateful, but this is a new low. Don't bother coming home this summer. You're not welcome here until you apologize. I saved the voicemail. Then I called Michelle. They responded exactly as predicted, she said dryly. Now we wait. If they attempt to access your accounts again, we move forward with criminal charges. They tried again in May. This time, Carol showed up at my bank branch. Patricia called me immediately. A woman claiming to be your mother is here, she said quietly. She has some of your information, but she doesn't have your ID. She's insisting that there's been a misunderstanding and she needs to access your college fund for an emergency. What kind of emergency? She won't say, but she's making a scene. Should I call the police? Yes, I said, and tell her I'll be pressing charges. Patricia called me back 20 minutes later. She left before the police arrived. But we have her on security camera, and she filled out a request form with her real name and signature. That's evidence, if you want to pursue this. Send me everything, I said. I sent it all to Michelle. 2 days later, Michelle sent another letter, this time directly to Carol. The letter explained that we had documented evidence of 3 separate attempts to fraudulently access my accounts. If there was a 4th attempt, we would be filing criminal charges. The calls and messages stopped. Summer came, and I didn't go home. I got an internship in another state and sublet an apartment with 2 other girls. It was the best summer of my life. In August, my father sent an email. It was short. Your mother would be ashamed of what you've become. Family doesn't threaten family with lawyers. When you're ready to apologize, you know where to find us. I deleted it. September brought my junior year. I threw myself into my studies and tried not to think about the fact that I was essentially orphaned. My mother was dead, and my father had chosen his wife over his daughter. But in October, something shifted. My grandmother called. She was my mother's mother, and we'd always been close. Your father came to see me, she said. He wanted to know if I had access to any of your accounts. I sat up straighter. What did you tell him? I told him to go to hell, she said cheerfully. Then I told him that if he or that woman ever contacted me again about your money, I'd hire my own lawyer. He left pretty quickly after that. Grandma, I'm so sorry. Don't you dare apologize. Your mother set up those accounts because she knew exactly what kind of man your father was. She knew he was weak. She knew he'd remarry someone who'd go after her daughter's inheritance. That's why she made everything so airtight. She protected you even after she was gone. I started crying. I miss her so much. I know, sweetheart. But she'd be so proud of you. You stood up for yourself. You didn't let them bully you into giving up what's yours. That takes courage. After we hung up, I looked at the framed photo on my desk. It was my mother and me at my high school graduation, just 2 months before she died. She looked tired and thin, but she was smiling. I'm doing my best, Mom, I whispered to the photo. I hope it's enough. My junior year passed quietly. No more attempts, no more calls, no more threats. I started to relax. But then came spring semester, and with it, an unexpected letter. It was from Carol, handwritten. Dear stepdaughter, it began. I almost threw it away right there, but something made me keep reading. I want to apologize for how things went last year. I realize now that I overstepped. Your father and I have been working through some issues, and I've come to understand that I let my own financial anxiety cloud my judgment. I would like to rebuild our relationship. Could we meet for lunch when you're home for spring break? No talk of money. I promise. Just family. I read it 3 times, looking for the trap. It seemed sincere. But everything with Carol seemed sincere at first. I called Michelle. It could be genuine, she said carefully. Or it could be another manipulation tactic. People who commit financial abuse often cycle between aggressive demands and apologetic reconciliation attempts. If you do meet with her, I'd suggest a public place and keeping your guard up. I didn't respond to the letter right away. Instead, I called my grandmother again. Carol wants to have lunch, I told her. Should I go? Do you want to see your father? I don't know. Part of me does. Part of me thinks he made his choice. Then make yours, Grandma said. You don't owe them forgiveness. You don't owe them a relationship. You only owe them civility. And even that's debatable after what they tried to do. I thought about it for a week. Then I responded to Carol's letter with an email. I'm willing to meet, but only if we establish ground rules first. We meet in a public restaurant. My finances are completely off limits as a topic. 3. If you violate either of these rules, I will leave immediately, and we won't try this again. If these terms are acceptable, we can meet on March 15th at 1 p.m. at the Cornerstone Cafe. Carol responded within an hour. Agreed. See you then. March 15th arrived. I drove to the Cornerstone Cafe with my phone recording in my pocket and Michelle on speed dial. I was prepared for anything. Carol was already there when I arrived. She looked older than I remembered. Thinner. Her smile was uncertain. Thank you for coming, she said as I sat down. I'm here, I said neutrally. That doesn't mean anything yet. We ordered. Small talk filled the first 10 minutes. The weather. School. Carol's new job at a real estate office. My father's recent promotion. Then Carol put down her fork and looked at me directly. I need to be honest with you, she said. Your father and I are getting divorced. I hadn't expected that. What? It's been coming for a while. The fighting, the resentment, everything that happened with you last year was just a symptom of bigger problems. I let my financial anxiety turn into something ugly, and I tried to fix it by going after your money. That was wrong. Your father enabled it, which was also wrong. We're both responsible. I didn't know what to say. I'm not asking for forgiveness, Carol continued. I'm not even asking for a relationship. I just wanted you to know that I understand what I did was unforgivable. Your mother left you that money because she loved you and wanted you to be secure. I tried to take that from you because I was scared and selfish. I'm sorry. Why are you telling me this? I asked quietly. Because you deserve to hear it. And because, she paused, your father still thinks he was right. He thinks you were selfish and cruel for getting lawyers involved. He thinks family should share everything. I finally realized that's not love. That's control, and I don't want to be that person anymore. We talked for another hour. Carol explained that she'd grown up poor, that she'd married my father thinking he was more financially stable than he was, that she'd panicked when money got tight. None of it excused what she'd done, and she didn't try to make it. She just explained. I'm moving to Arizona, she said at the end. Fresh start. I wanted to clear the air before I left. Thank you for that, I said. And I meant it. We paid the bill and walked outside. Before she got in her car, Carol turned to me one last time. Your mother raised a strong woman. She'd be proud of you. I watched her drive away, and for the first time in 2 years, I felt something close to peace. My father never apologized. We don't speak now. Sometimes I think about reaching out, but then I remember his silence when Carol tried to take my money, his anger when I stood up for myself, his refusal to choose his daughter over his wife. Some bridges burn for good reasons. I graduated last year with honors. My accounts are still secure. I'm starting a job at my mother's old firm next month, working as a financial advisor. Robert is retiring, and he recommended me for the position. I'll be helping people protect their assets and plan for their futures, especially helping them protect their children from people like Carol. My mother's lessons saved me. Her foresight protected me. Her love guided me even after she was gone. I keep her photo on my desk at home. Sometimes I tell her about my day. Sometimes I ask her for advice. And sometimes I just say, thank you. Because she taught me the most important lesson of all. Your money is yours. Your boundaries are yours. And you never, ever have to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Even if that someone is family. Especially if that someone is family.